Okay, YouTube, today is May 26, 2022. Just want to do an overview on a 2017 YXE 1000R sport ship that I'm currently working on for a customer. Just a quick product showcase. We got a couple of these items going on the website here pretty soon. So we'll start with our loose lock clutch setup. This is our solution for your sport shift. This basically allows you to hold as much power as you could possibly want. I mean, we have guys that are 500 plus, race cars that are higher than that. So direct bolt on for your sport shift. Replaces the transmission clutch cover and obviously some parts inside. The way that works is it is a pneumatic lockout, so you're using turbo boost pressure to lock your clutch. The advantage to that on a sport shift is you have a control system, which is this valve here, and some wiring that ties it in with your MCU that removes that lockout whenever the car shifts a gear. So if you're making boost and you go from third to fourth gear or whatever, a couple milliseconds, that removes that lockout, so the clutch actuator itself doesn't have any additional load on it. This retains a factory clutch pack, factory diaphragm spring, pretty much everything factory. So the Yamaha designed sport shift components don't know the difference, but this is a real good way for you to make real big power with one of these things. So I don't think I've ever actually talked about that on a video, so I just wanted to get that in there. Let's see, item 2 is our fuel sending unit. This particular car has a DW400 fuel pump in it. I'm going to be set up for flex fuel. It will have a Motec engine management if the Motec computer that I'm waiting on ever comes off a back order. Anyway, we're setting this up so he can make some power down the road. So DW400 pump in there. This is -6 PTFE style hose. I use this Fragola, which actually is a PVC lined braided stainless steel hose with a Teflon liner or PTFE liner on the inside, so it's ethanol compatible. These hoses are a little bit of work to put together. I recommend, if you haven't done one of these, to watch a video on it on YouTube on how to assemble these fittings. They're different than your standard AN. Anyway, we got 6 out, and then we go to this Radium 10 micron fuel filter. I prefer this filter because you can get this heat sink mount for it, and the bolt spacing on it is just right for the engine mount on the passenger side of the car. People ask, are concerned maybe that's hanging out there, but you get a top view of it, you can see it's tucked way inside of the sway bar. I mean, it's up out of the way, but it is in a good spot to get airflow, which helps keep the fuel cooler when you're running a big fuel pump, and that's why I prefer this one. And it's a nice part, aesthetically pleasing, so that's a bonus. Anyway, come out of that, same type of hose up to our RPM rail. I like this RPM rail. I've used several of these. Let's see if I can get around where you can see it better. These come with a number 6 ORB style fitting in the end. They sell it in 2 ways. You can get it with the little tube here for the stock length injector. That's typically what we run. We run Injector Dynamics injectors, which you can get a 1050, a 1700, or a 2600. This car is a 1700, which paired with the rest of that fuel system is good for 400 horsepower, maybe a little bit more if you want it. The other thing we're using here is this 4 Innovations regulator. Big fan of this guy because I should do a separate video on this regulator. I've had a lot of problems with Aeromotive stuff. I've had a bunch of Aeromotive regulators that were bad right out of the box. They weren't machined correctly. So the ball seats didn't seal. And then I've had a handful of them that did work out of the box, but didn't last very long, maybe less than 1,000 miles. The ball bearing basically just beats the seat out of the bottom of the valve to where it doesn't seal. And then you start struggling to hold pressure, you know, when that regulator is supposed to be upping the pressure. When your boost pressure is going up, you know, it'll, instead of doing that, it'll just start falling off, and then, you know, car will go lean and you'll have issues. For innovations regulator, diaphragm in the top is separated from the valve. Aeromotive, you just have a diaphragm, you know, that's basically in the middle. One side's the valve, the other side is the spring. Issue there is if the diaphragm fails, you know, you have a direct path of fuel to your vacuum line, which can hydrolock the motor and, you know, cause major issues. So this is a separated valve and a diaphragm. So even if the diaphragm fails, you're not in that situation. Biggest advantage of this is you can't see it because it's installed, but it has a ceramic ball bearing with a hardened stainless steel seat, which is really good for the abuse that these things get on these 3-cylinder UTVs. I mean, this is a tiny motor, you got big injectors, real violent injection pulses. I think that's really what has a tendency to kill those aeromotive regulators on these cars. This one holds up to it. I mean, it's designed in such a way that it's, you know, real heavy duty, and the part that would normally get damaged in that situation. So we've been only using this regulator. I recommend it for innovations. So I don't sell this product. They don't sponsor me. I'm just passing the word for something I think is pretty good. Price is pretty reasonable as well. So something worth looking into. So that's basically the fuel system. We'll go back to that. We're coming out of the filter, going up to the rail, and coming out of the rail into our regulator, and then out of the regulator with a 90 into his flex fuel sensor, and then out of the flex fuel sensor back around and to the return line of the tank. Pretty straightforward. You know, watch this video a couple times if you're setting one of these up. Save yourself some trips to the store for fittings. I can actually tell you what this is. Straights coming out of our sending unit, straight going into the filter, 150 coming out of the filter, 120 at the rail, gets you around your wire harness right there. And then this one's tricky. Let's see, we got a 60 coming out of the rail and a 30 going into the regulator. We mounted the regulator on a piece of angle back here along with the flex fuel sensor to get it under the bed. And then we are coming out at 90 from the end of the flex fuel sensor and back to the tank, and then that's a straight, obviously going back in there. So hopefully somebody putting one of these together can use that information. So that's our sending unit. These are going on the website tomorrow. We offer this in all flavors of pump. So if you got a Walbro, or you have an Aeromotive or an AEM or something that is that diameter, which is not gonna, diameter is not right at the tip of my tongue, but it'll be in the description. We have brackets for that, or if you're doing something bigger like the DW400, which I think is 32 millimeters, but again, I'll have that on the website. We offer brackets for that as well. So pretty much anything you want. Major advantage is obviously -6 or -8 in and out. And we use our proprietary connector that gives you the proper sized pins for the pump current draw, which your plastic housing does not support. So you take your level sender off your plastic housing, which is clipped onto it, and you clip it onto ours just like the factory part. And then you're given this nice AN inlet and outlet to build the rest of your fuel system. And again, whatever pump you want. If you don't know what pump you want, you can reach out to me and we can talk about it, figure out what your goals are with the car and what type of fuel and all that good stuff that plays a role into that, and I'll be happy to help you with it. Third product here, this is going on the website as well tomorrow. This is our alternator kit. This one was a sort of semi-prototype. I didn't have the right adjuster rod, so this one was modified, but you know, we have a custom-made adjuster rod for this assembly. Gives you our billet drive pulley for the crankshaft, obviously the hardware to go with it, and we're going to offer this two ways. This particular one is a 1.25 to 1 overdrive, so which is not much. A lot of these other kits I've seen are like a 2.5 to 3 to 1 overdrive, which is part of the reason the alternators fail, because they, if you're turning 10,000 RPMs with your car and you're 3 to 1 overdrive, you're spinning an alternator to 30,000 RPMs, and it takes the bearings out, or it kills the brushes in the alternator because they can't handle the speed. So this is designed well within the threshold, I think, of 18,000 RPMs, which is what most of these high-end GM alternators are rated for. Our kit here is built around a CS121 GM alternator. If you want more information on that, you can just search that, Google it, or go to like Summit or Jegs and see all of the available CS121 sized alternators there are out there. I've been using this 8060 PowerMaster on quite a few of these vehicles. Very, very nice. 100% new parts. There's no China, no reman. I mean, this is a built from new, from PowerMaster alternator. 100 amp output, single wire connection, so there's no exciter wire to this. It's internal regulator, which is nice. And these things are built to take some abuse, so it's not a cheap, I think it's like a Kubota tractor alternator that I see some of the other competitors using, which you might go through one of those every other ride or so, depending on what setup it is, or if you get a good one or a bad one from the manufacturer. It's kind of a roll of the dice when you buy one of these GM alternators. You're a lot less likely to have that problem. Now, when you buy an alternator like this from PowerMaster, I believe it comes with a 24-month warranty. So we are actually selling this kit with no alternator. Again, I can help you pick out what you want. You can get this size alternator from about $40 on up. Amperage range from, I believe, 60 amps all the way to 200, I think is the highest I've seen. Back to the drive. So this is a 1.25 to 1 overdrive. Reason for the slight overdrive is this will give you your full 14 volts and change at idle, which is nice for certain things. Car sitting still and you want to run your lights or whatever because you're working on your buddy's car. This is what gets you there. We do also offer this in a 1-to-1 drive ratio, which is what I have on our shop vehicle. That is going to take less crankshaft horsepower to spin the alternator. The only disadvantage to that is you're not getting full 14 volts at idle. You're getting like maybe 13 and a half or so. So I consider that to be more of the Dooner class or race car alternator. There's a lot of highly modified cars like ours that still need an updated charging system to run lights and everything else that we're doing when we're running the car at night, but we don't necessarily want to give up that horsepower to do so. So that's why I'm offering both versions. Price is the same, and I can get into it with you in more detail if you're torn between the two. I think this 1.25 to 1 overdrive is going to be a majority of what everybody buys. This is your most general use, like you want to have an alternator on the car and you want the car to idle while you're running your winch or whatever you're running. This is going to get you there. Lifetime warranty on our components, so we're supplying the drive pulley, the driven pulley, the belt, the tensioner, this cross member, which you really can't see from this angle, but this is a tube cross member that is, we tried to kind of follow the factory aesthetics, so we call it an OEM type cross member. Lifetime warranty and all those parts. I guess not on the belt. I mean, the belt's going to wear out, but I'll give you a part number for it. They're under $10. So anyway, that's a new product. Excited to get this one out there. Gives you guys a lot of range of application. You're not stuck just buying something because that's all there is. You know, this thing you can kind of tailor it to exactly what you want. Kind of the same deal with a fuel sending unit. You can put whatever pump you want in there. I can supply a pump. I can supply the alternator with this kit if you want me to, you know, or you can buy it from the manufacturer or whatever you want to do. You know, I guess we'll figure out what the most of you guys are going to want once I start talking to you on the phone. But just wanted to get that in there. Hopefully I get a computer for this thing soon so I can get it tuned up and get it back to its owner in Nevada. You know, we're out here in Arizona, but it's been good good having a car here that is apart for finalizing some stuff while we're waiting on that. I mean, he's not planning on using this thing right away, but we're hopeful that it gets here and we can get this thing out the door. So anyway, hopefully you guys got some good information out of that. Check out our website again on the 27th, which is tomorrow. That is jteperformanceengineering.com, and I will put a link in the description. I will have pricing and options for the fuel sending unit, and obviously our alternator kit. We got a couple of these in stock ready to go, and then our boost lock, which is our staple item. We got lots of those in stock, so if you guys need something, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here, even if it's just a question. Feel free to call me or email me, and you know, I'll do my best to help you with it. So appreciate you watching my videos. Thanks guys. Bye.